Welcome to Market Access Today. Please get ready to be captivated by expert insights and explore new frontiers. And traditionally, I want to thank Econics for their unconditional support. So let's get started. Today, I have Professor Dr. Matthias Schönermark with me. Welcome, Dr. Matthias.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here today. And he's one of the key opinion leaders in healthcare at the European level. And he's focused on innovative products challenging market access environments. Now, I want to give the floor to you to tell us more about yourself and your impressive career journey, please.
Yes, happy to do that. Thank you very much, Oznur. I'm glad and privileged to be here. So welcome also from my side. I enjoyed this very, very much. And I'm a fan of Market Access Today, which
Thank you very much.
A lot of background information, which is very, very helpful also for my colleagues and myself. I have been around as a consultant for the healthcare industry for now 25 years. I started, however, healthcare as a medical student, even more decades ago, and became a head and neck surgeon. I had a PhD in molecular oncology, and finally became professor of head and neck surgery here at the University Hospital in Hanover. Spent some time in the US, and then I left clinical medicine for consulting. I started with the Boston Consulting Group, spent several years there, had a short gig as a partner with A.T. Kearney, and 20 years ago, we started our own consultancy boutique that is working out of Hanover internationally, and we support pharmaceutical medtech and digital health companies bringing their innovations into the European market. That's what we do with about 45 people here from diverse backgrounds. We see ourselves very much as strategy consultants, but we also help very operationally in preparing dossiers and the material for the HTA authorities.
Thank you very much. So that's quite impressive, as I said before, and I'm sure it's going to be very impressive for our audiences too. So my next question will be more about the new policy that is coming up in the European setting. With the European Health Technology Assessment Regulation now effective for oncology drugs and advanced therapy medicinal products, what are the anticipated impacts on the industry practices and patient access?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. The industry is busy. Now the implementing acts have been not only published, but also finalized by the European Commission and the Parliament. So they will be effective from the 12th of January next year onwards. And a lot of our clients some are pretty hectic. Others are more reluctant, depending on their pipeline, obviously. I mean, if you have a product that will be submitted in next year, you have to be prepared. However, there is still uncertainty because there is no precedent case. It's a very, very new procedure. And it's not clear how the joint clinical assessment will translate into the downstream national processes. We see a lot of organizational changes, which are important because there is a new level of complexity that needs to be managed. There's even a higher need for communication alignment across functions and regions. It's a question of governance. So who would lead, who would chair this process? It's all about decision making also, who would have the final say when you prepare different options, for instance, for the different PICO schemes. Some organizations have new departments that they founded. At least what they have are task forces. Very often we see that Germany has a governing role there, that the German organization, and that is due to the fact that the JCA procedure is a blueprint, or the German AMNOG procedure was a blueprint for the JCA procedure. Germany had a huge influence, so we see methodologically a high level of similarities. I think one of the biggest challenges for the industry is to structure an integrated evidence approach on the global and affiliate label. This needs to be aligned because the process is now, the regulatory process and for the market authorization and the HTA process are now run in parallel. This is a huge challenge, so you need to align both procedures, both narratives, if you wish. And we also see some companies that consider delaying their submission, which is not a good message for the patients waiting for the drug, but they want to see how it's evolving to mitigate the risks. And one other interesting development that we see is that some companies also start to prepare templates for their JCA procedures. That's something that we also support for a company-wide approach. So there's a lot of very different, some polypragmatic, some very focused activities. Some companies can wait because they won't be in the market before 2027 with their asset, and others are investing heavily to get ahead of the pack.
It seems as if it's really very exciting times until the beginning of next year. So there's always new preparations there. That seems as if teams in Europe, especially in Germany, will be really busy.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We are. I mean, that's the. If you're a consultant and the regulatory framework changes, this delivers a lot of questions that need to be answered, and it's a good time for consulting and supporting the clients. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So my next question is, as we know that after some delays, the implementing act on the design of joint clinical assessments was recently published, which in April. Could you discuss its implications and how it is prepared to enhance the implementation of the European HTA regulation across member states?
Yeah, well, I mean, since it's now finally endorsed, the individual member states can now officially work on the transition into the national procedures. But even the most prominent and active member states, like Germany with the GBA and France with the HAS, are not clear yet and have declared that this will take some additional time. We expect an official process probably in the first half of 2025 in Germany. Some countries, Benelux, for instance, with the Benelux activity, they might be faster, maybe also the Nordics, they are pretty active. But in Germany and also in France, we won't see it this year, I'm sure. And that means that the first JCA dossiers will already been submitted, without precisely knowing what's happening in some states, which is an unfortunate situation. However, I mean, the EU took quite some time, and they prolonged and extended the deadline, I think 2 or 3 times at least. We now have the clarity on the timelines and procedures, but we also think it's a learning system that they will be adapted in the first years depending on their feasibility and the real life testing. And there is an official review set of the regulation for 2028. We also think that some member states which did not have a clearly structured HTA process to date might hook up with one of the core countries and their procedures or just adopt their decisions. That's also an option that we would expect. So I don't think that each and every of the 27 member states will develop their own national procedure. So we would see, like in the Finosi activities of the Nordics or in the Beneluxa, we might see even more member states teaming up, maybe also in the Middle and Eastern European countries, so that they have one unified procedure, which could be linked to the core states. But that's to be seen. That's not clear yet, and I doubt that we'll have a lot of clear national downstream procedures before the end of the year.
Oh, I see. So it just, again, from that perspective, it's going to be a lot of work will be done. And so I'm understanding that you are foreseeing the clarity should be coming in the next year.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So my next question is, could you please outline the trends that you foresee in Europe regarding securing adequately funded patient access? And how do you see the European HTA fitting within the broader organization?
That's a huge question, and maybe a long answer. However, I try to keep it short. I mean, Europe is an economic market with 500 million people. So it's a continent. It's very, very attractive. It is very developed. The standard of healthcare is high. Yes, there is some heterogeneity, but it is an attractive market for innovative products. I mean, that's for sure. What we've seen is that some international companies decided on a US first strategy, which I think is very short-sighted. That's probably due to the fact that there are regulatory hurdles that it's seen as a high bureaucracy, and the EU HTA procedure could probably alleviate that. Currently, it's seen as an add-on. There might be even more bureaucracy in the beginning, but I think that's just the beginning of a procedure. I would expect that in the midterm and long run, that we see a parallelism to what happened almost 30 years ago, 1993, with the centralized market authorization procedure. And the EMA was found 1993 in London, and since 2017 or 19 in Amsterdam. The EU HTA won't go away, the procedure. I mean, that's for sure. And we might see even the founding, that's what I would expect, of a singular authority like the EMA, or even an incorporation of the HT procedures into the EMA, so that we would have a combined market authorization and an HTA procedure, which I think, due to efficiency gains and also time gains, this could increase the attractivity of Europe as a pharmaceutical market, or as a market for innovative drugs. There are some other elements, together with the pharma package. We have to anticipate what's going on. There could be a higher price pressure in Europe because only real or incremental improvements are not valued. The award is more on really innovative drugs. So innovation leaps and innovation steps would probably be punished. However, they are extremely relevant for patients. So I think it's a disincentive which needs to be corrected. I talked about smaller markets that might just team up with larger markets or adopt their decision making. We have some interesting trends currently where we see, for instance, a country like Spain that is moving towards more transparency and want to get rid of confidential rebates, while in Germany the government wants to introduce confidential rebates. So that's also an interesting discussion that's going on. So it's a time of uncertainty. That's clear. But I guess in the long run, I'm very, very optimistic that this will improve the market conditions in Europe. That's the political will. It would take some time. It had taken time with the centralized market authorization with the EMA. So I think this will happen again. But we'll see after 2 or 3 years that it works. The authorities are extremely committed to make it happen. And I think the industry is flexible enough. We are there. We're committed to support this procedure. And I think in the end, it will be a very, very good process and a very good market. And that's the message for the patients. There might be some hookups in between, but I'm confident and optimistic that it will work.
Thank you very much for today's discussion. Indeed, these were all the questions that I prepared for today, but I would be very honored if I would be having a chance in your busy schedule next time to have you as a guest speaker on our videos again. So I think maybe by the beginning of next year would be the right timing, because we are expecting and foreseeing a lot of changes or implementations to be taking place. So I'll be very happy to have you here again in the upcoming month. So thank you very much. It was an honor for us as Market Access Today to have you here today.
My pleasure, Oznur, and you have my word. I'll be happy to be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.